to Daily Grace. We're so glad that you're with us. You know, God holds out for us saving grace, sustaining grace, sufficient grace, all of it in Christ, and all of it fresh every day. So here's why we need the Daily Grace. Today on it, we have Nicole Hathaway. Nicole, thank you for being with us.
No problem.
So Nicole has been part of Grace Fellowship for a long, long time, part of the family here, also active in serving the Lord and in serving in our community as she teaches and leads in the public schools. And so, Nicole, we're going to talk about all of that.
Okay.
Is that good? All right, so let's go right back. You have been part of Grace. How long?
I was 3, so add 27 to that, so quite a few years. We were at at Northwest in the sanctuary. I think my mom started going when they were still in like the
lobby of
lobby,
Northwest.
yeah, the lobby. So yeah, quite a long time.
You've been at Grace, I mean, aside from college and stuff, but since you were 3.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. I did not realize that. So you did Grove and you did all the basic training.
Yeah,
it was
before
called
it
back
was
then.
Grove. I don't even know what it was.
It's called basic training. Wow, I just didn't realize that.
Yep.
And you're 27 now? No,
Plus a few.
Plus a few.
Yep.
27 plus a few. Well, all right. I don't know.
Plus 3.
Oh, and by the way, how much do you make? No, I'm just kidding.
It's okay. I'm not that old yet. You can still ask.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
we're good.
I was just trying to do the math there. So, but also, when I came, I think were part of the youth group or just getting into the youth group. And I just remember all you people in the back of the sanctuary or the theater.
Yes.
And you guys, it was so fun to sort of learn how to preach and try it on you people.
Yeah, hopefully we were paying attention. I hope. Maybe.
You might have been. I don't know. you totally might have been. And then you went away to college.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Carolina.
Yes.
And then what did you study?
I studied exercise and sports science.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Wow, and now you teach 7th grade math.
Now I teach 7th grade math.
Okay,
Yes.
so we'll come back to that. But then
All right.
after college, you became a fellow, a Kinston fellow.
Mm-hmm.
It was like one of the best days when you applied for that. I got to tell you.
Well, I'm glad.
We thought that was so great. And somewhere along the way, you also interned as a youth intern here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like without you, Ben would never have a youth group because it was.
I don't know about that, but they keep having kids, so we're always going to have one.
That was so fun. What was your favorite part of that year or two that you did that?
I think it was just really fun to see the inner workings of like the behind the scenes of, hey, let's have this fun youth event, but here's all this extra work that goes into it.
Yeah, they don't just
So
happen.
yeah, and just the kids. I mean, we had a great group of kids, and when Dane came along, there was a great group of middle school, high school boys, and that was just fun. So yeah.
How did you meet Dan?
Okay, so funny story. Hunter, who used to be one of our youth leaders, and then they met through Juan Aviles, and anyway, and he's like, hey, you need to go to this 20-somethings Bible study, because I was interning and leading that Bible study.
Right.
So he brought Dan and one of his friends to Dr. Rob's house church, because that's where I was going with my parents at the time, and met them. It's like, hey, y'all should come to this Bible study, and the rest is history.
And the rest is history, because you've been married for
7 years in January.
7 years in January. I remember that wedding. It was a very fun wedding.
Yes, it was so cold.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
It was freezing, and the rehearsal was actually at Frenchman's Creek. Or whatever that's called. But that was really a neat, nice. 7 years, and so you have one kid.
One kid.
Not 2, not 3,
two.
not 4,
Nope,
but just one. Gabe.
Yep.
2 years, 9 months.
Yep.
What's the best part about being a mom?
Oh gosh. Okay, so this is totally not biased at all. But Gabe is a very, very sweet child. Very considerate, very like a lover. So it's really cool to see your kids grow up and I don't know that he loves Jesus yet or knows who Jesus is, but it's fun for me to see him loving people. Mm-hmm. And, Mommy, are we going to church today? Like, for the longest time during the COVID stuff, it was like, Mommy, are we going to church? We're getting ready to go somewhere. Can we go to church? I'm like, no, buddy, not today.
Yeah,
But
unfortunately.
we still got to watch it on TV, so that was great.
Mhm.
And Mr. Kemp played the guitar, so that was by far the best thing.
I mean,
ever.
the kids love the guitar. They all do.
So yeah, so it's really cool to just see your kid like loving people, and even though he doesn't know it, that's being Jesus to people
Mhm.
before he even knows what that is. So
Yeah.
that's fun.
And because he's watching Dan and he's watching you,
Yeah,
you know,
hopefully
Dad,
the
Mom.
good things.
Yeah, and seeing the bad things, but also seeing you guys deal with it well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when a kid sees a parent apologize, that's a huge lesson, and,
Yes.
and it's not about parents always being perfect. It's
Yes.
about us needing grace too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's the gospel.
Absolutely.
Wow. You know, this is interesting, just as an aside, for any of you who are watching this before Leadership Lab on Sunday, how you invest in your kids and what kind of not program in a fatalistic way, but just what you draw out of them by how you interact is what helps us all mature and grow. And that social bonding that you get from a mom and from a dad is unbelievable and unbelievably important in each of our development.
Yeah.
But it's not fatalistic. Like, in fact, what they're seeing more and more is there's a way to make up for that if it's been lacking.
Oh,
So
yeah.
all of this we're going to find out. We're going to see a little bit more on Sunday night, but
Yeah.
it's kind of fun. Hey, Dan, whom I love, and what I loved about when he was helping in youth is all the guys loved him.
And we say it all the time. He has such a very stoic attitude.
Yeah, he's quiet.
Yeah, very quiet. But they're like, Dan's so cool.
It's
I
unbelievably
mean, I
true.
know that because I live with him, but
Mhm.
yes, they do love him.
Yeah, there's something there. That's a great thing. Well, our city, Kinston, is blessed because he's rejoined the police force,
Yes.
KPD.
Yes.
What led to that?
So, when we got married, he was on the police department, and he was there about 2 years and felt like, something just wasn't clicking, like he just needed to move on. So he went back to school, and then fast forward 5 years, and just, I guess, really the calling. I mean, he's always, even when he wasn't in it, it was, I need to like keep track of my guys. I need to keep up with this. Man, I shouldn't have left. And I'm sitting there thinking, dude, you left because you thought you were supposed to. But
Right.
now, anyway.
Yep.
So, I mean, the
Hold back.
Lord kind of just was like tugging and just tugging. And so last year it was like, okay, I think it's time for me to go back. And biggest blessing ever. He is so happy.
Oh, that's
and
great.
you don't become a police officer for the money.
No.
So it's
No,
definitely
it's true.
a calling for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I say for us because I'm the wife and have to live that life too. So
Yeah. Well, that's it. And, you are, and all, like, fire, police, like EMS even, but, like, especially the first two where you're just running straight into danger. We, as a society, man, we just really appreciate that. During the difficult days a couple months ago after George Floyd's murder, what was that like for you to send your husband off to work when there was all sorts of Facebook chatter of
Yeah.
riots? Like,
Yeah.
that's what it was. It was Facebook
Yeah.
chatter of
So,
riots coming our way.
honestly, Dan and I have had this conversation multiple times. We feel like, the Lord, for whatever reason, has given me a very calm demeanor. Like, I am that calm person in chaos, and then I freak out afterwards. That's just, I'm no joke. Like, I'll cry after the crazy. I won't cry in the moment kind of thing. So anyway, it was a Sunday night when Greenville was having their protest, which then turned into a rioting
Yeah.
situation. And we were listening to his scanner for the police department, and it had the Greenville PD on there with it. And just listening to them calling for help, not like, hey, help me, because
No,
there was an
but
officer,
just
but
calling
like
for backup.
calling for backup units. And watching him pack a bag and tell me, if I have to go, I don't know when I'll be home. And I was like, okay.
Wait, can we
alright.
go back to this decision to be on the KPD?
Yeah. So, we're 6 months into this new thing, not new thing, but new again to us. And it was kind of a thing where it was like, okay, it's just God-given peace because there's no other way around it. Like, I'm sort of freaking out on the inside, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, God's got this. And that's the only thing I can ever say is
Yeah.
I just have a peace that comes from nowhere but above. So it was interesting. And I mean, it was frustrating because my husband is not someone who's going to act differently towards someone of a different color or a different nationality or different whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so that part was frustrating, but also knowing he's one of the officers that's going to lead, and you know, he is going to show our community and all of our KPD officers, really, because they're all great. I
They're
know
great.
most of them. But just, you know, maybe our community will be the one to lead, and him knowing how to be frustrated in the situation and what it is and what it was, but also, you know, we can be above the frustration and anger and show Jesus in that. And that's what he's really tried to make sure he does since then. So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, for me it was just I have a unnatural peace. If you ask my mom, I am definitely that calm person. She is not in that sense. She's like, I worry about y'all. Well, it is what it is, Mom. The Lord's going to take care of us.
And
So.
Mom, thanks for worrying, because then you'll pray.
Yeah, there you go. She is a prayer
She
warrior.
is a prayer warrior. Your
She
mom,
is.
Louise, man, she is dynamite.
Yes.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being a couple who's committed to Dan being on the public safety force at Kinston Police. We love it. I do think the Lord has allowed Kinston to lead by modeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what we saw Greenville go through Goldsboro, we didn't see that here. We saw people get together to pray. We saw peaceful protests. We saw civic help, government leading well locally, county, city, the sheriff, chief of police. I just think we're blessed.
We are.
And we you know, I think we know, like Kinston knows we're not sort of like, we have to work for everything we have.
Yeah.
And we work on our knees first, and God just responds and he answers prayers.
Yeah. And that day, so that happened on a Sunday, and that Monday, I got a random Grace text message. Was like, hey, meet at Westminster. Is that, I'm not sure where it was, where a group gathered, Hope Prep.
In the
So
morning.
where a group gathered to pray, and here we are in the middle of trying to stay at home and all that, and I was like, all right, Gabe, let's go.
We're going.
Go to pray. But it's one of those things that you just have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to.
Yeah.
And that was so reassuring for me, because he was off that Sunday night on call, and then Monday he was going to work, and Kinston was having a protest that night, so I was, you know, a little bit flustered that day.
Yeah, that was a big day for you.
So yeah, it was. But
wow. Well, the other part of, so your husband is on the police force. You're a teacher in the public schools, for which we're pretty excited at your leadership there. Tell us again where you teach and what's your role.
So I am at Contentnia Savannah School.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a K-8 school in Kinston.
And what do you think about a K-8 all-in-one campus?
I think it's great in a lot of ways. I think it's really great because a kid can start in kindergarten and go through 8th grade and never have to leave that comfort.
Mm-hmm.
I am one that I would want to leave that and transition to something, but the way that our school is set up, it's hallways. So like when you go from elementary to middle school, it's completely new. So that's fun. So I think it's really cool.
That's
fun.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do there?
All right. So I teach 7th grade math.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the volleyball coach. I'm one of the athletic
For
directors.
men's, women's, both? Guys,
Well, we only
boys,
have
girls?
women's volleyball.
Okay, girls volleyball.
Yeah.
And that's middle school?
Yes, middle
Okay.
school only. So 6th, 7th, and 8th
So
grade.
you're the coach of the volleyball, 7th grade math.
Yes. One of the athletic directors. And then I also am the FCA advisor, just because that's
Just
fell into
volunteer.
my lap. Yep.
Yeah, FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, which we love. Mike Jenkins.
Yes.
I mean, the Lord is doing a great work on campuses through him. When you went there, you taught on the elementary wing, I remember.
Yeah. So I was on staff with FCA.
Yes.
Actually. Yes.
Yes.
And
I forgot that.
yeah, so I was on staff with them for about a year in between interning here, and I thought that was great and I loved it, but I needed the structure of a like 8 to 5 kind of job.
Mm-hmm.
That's just because married life and knowing we were going to have kids, that's what I needed.
Yeah.
So just started coaching with a friend of mine, and then talked to the principal a few times, and then just a few different things. It was like, okay, here, this is what you're going to do, kind of. So yeah, I started teaching first grade and then moved to middle school literally the year after that because they realized you need to teach middle school.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's true.
middle school is a different world.
Yeah.
I mean, hormones and tween age, it takes a special person.
It does. It does. And it may be a different skill set than first grade needs.
Yes, absolutely. I might have been a little bit too much of the tough love for those first grade babies. I'm not sure.
No,
I
maybe.
try to be patient, but
I think more of our kids need more tough love.
Yeah,
I think
maybe. I don't
we're
know.
raising soft kids as a culture. It's not so helpful. But then we had this big hiccup, even though now you're running this whole school and doing great, all you people out there. And that is a great school.
Oh,
I'm telling you, there's a lot of Grace families and a lot of great folks out there, a lot of great teachers and families. But then we got to go online, and COVID and remote and all that kind of stuff. March, April, May.
March 13th was our last day of school. Actual face-to-face school, I guess.
How was that? Like for you as a teacher, how was that?
It was hard.
It was hard.
If I'm being honest, it was hard because I'm a teacher, and so I take my child to daycare and go to work, like most parents do. And March 13th, I kept my child home and tried to
work. Yeah.
So the big kids, as Gabe calls them, got a lot of Gabe action. He was on video with them a lot, so they liked it.
Well, you could do fractions, like
Yeah,
Gabe could hold his 10
totally,
hands up, fingers.
Totally. Yeah.
Did you? And there was a lot of grace with how to try to help kids keep coming along. But
Yes.
I mean, did enough kids have online and that worked okay, or
Yes,
did it?
I mean,
Where you were, I mean, every school is different.
Yeah, every school had different challenges, but for the most part, I think, we were able to keep them engaged. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. We literally had a week to prep and figure out how to do online teaching.
Yeah.
So our goal was just to, review things they had learned that year and not teach any new things. And so this new phase, I guess, of remote teaching is a lot different than what it was before.
Yeah. So coming up, where
Yes.
there's some 9-week stepstones.
Yes.
So it's going to be different than what we experienced in April.
Absolutely. So this summer I got to work with people from the county and some central office staff, and we worked with some consultants and worked on video teaching, asynchronous lessons, and then also with summer school this summer we did, Zoom lessons with the kids. But then, hey, it's your turn, you're going to go watch a video, do an activity. So it was way, way, way more structured,
Yes.
which was great.
Yeah.
And I think kids need that. I
Kids
mean,
do need
obviously,
structure.
we all need it. So it's going to be good. I'm excited.
It's interesting, because Ben on Sunday in the Sloth and Diligence,
Yes.
but just one of his simple takeaway points is you need structure. We need
Absolutely.
structure.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just a big social experiment, and it's going to be fun for this new year. It's going to be a different thing.
Oh, yeah.
Although, what would you say to parents as they're saying, I'm not sure if I'm ready for my kid to stay at home, or I'm not sure if I'm ready for them to be in the classroom with 30 other or 25 other families of germs or whatever, and I'm not sure about remote learning. Like, how do you shepherd parents of the kids you have?
Oh, honestly, it's hard. But as a parent, and my grandmother living with my mom and seeing them and things like that, you just have to pray about it.
Yeah.
Like, if I know that I'm grounded as a parent, then I'm gonna relate to Gabe and to my school children, as I call them, my school babies. Like, we're gonna relate to our kids in a way that is graceful and merciful and kind and just well thought out. So as a parent, we all have different needs, we all have different things that we have to think about. And so for my parents that want to keep their kids remote all year, when we do go to the official plan B, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it work, and I'm going to love your kid. And if you're a parent that says, I need my child to go to school because they need to go to school.
Right.
Like my nephew needs to go to school.
Yeah.
He just has so much energy. He needs that very specific structure. That's great. So I think that's what our school system is really going to shoot to do once we get to that point. So
At least if you were running it, that's what you'd
yeah,
recommend.
totally, absolutely, yes.
I like it though. I love to find out what people would do because
Yeah.
you know I think wisdom comes out of regular folks. Like
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
just you know four smart people in Washington that know everything. Like everybody knows something.
Gosh,
but-
no.
A few weeks ago, kind of winding up here, but a few weeks ago you wrote on Facebook a great post that got a lot of traction
Mm-hmm.
about just reading in your quiet time or studying about Jonah and how he didn't want to do what God was calling him to do, go to Nineveh, and not that you're calling the schools Nineveh, but doing things that you're not as comfortable with or don't want to, and yet the faithfulness is what matters. Where did that all come from? Like that was fantastic. I read that, it was fantastic.
I appreciate that. But so I think late high school, college, I just started having to write out my prayers because I would fall asleep, because I am so
I've been
bad
there.
about that. Or, just couldn't get it out the way I wanted to. So writing is my avenue of getting my thoughts out. So March happened and I did that, and I just sent it to a few of my friends, teacher friends, just because I needed to almost hear the Lord preach to me, because I needed to hear that word regurgitated back to me. So then July and the governor's message, that night I was just frustrated and anxious and whatever else you want to call it, whatever emotion there was, I probably had it.
Right.
And I was like, Dan, I just need some TLC. I just need to cuddle. And Dan was like, okay. So then later that night, I, realized like I just need to process. And so I wrote that, and we're doing Jonah in our house church. The girls have split off for the summer.
Yep.
And so we're reading Jonah and going through Amy Gannett's study.
Yep, that's a great one.
And so it just happened to be the week that we were talking about God being faithful to Jonah. And so that's what I had been reading, and that's what kind of came out when I started writing. And I wrote it, and I was like, all right, let me send it to my teacher friends. And then I thought about it and had been on Facebook, and people react different ways. And it is frustrating, and I was frustrated. But seeing just some of the different frustrations that people had, I'm like, you know what? Everybody's telling their thoughts. Let me just share mine since we're sharing.
Yeah.
So I just put it up, and so I didn't mean it for other people, honestly. But I'm glad that it maybe could have helped someone. So, yeah.
Well, judging by the comments, it did.
Well, good.
And I think that's a great for us as we kind of navigate even just social media is how to bring grace and truth and real feelings and not fake, but just, God's in this.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be screeds all the time, and
Yeah.
we shouldn't be, but we can be.
And he's got it.
He's got
figure
it.
out.
He's got it.
He knows what the problem is, and he knows how to fix it, and we don't. And that's why we kind of just have to talk to him about it.
Yeah. Well, Nicole, thank you on this gorgeous day for coming in and spending a little time with us and encouraging us on Daily Grace. So thank you for being here, and thank you for what y'all do, and not do as if, like we're human beings, we're not human doings. So it's not your doing, you're just who you are. Just you and Gabe and Dan following the Lord, training Gabe and pouring out to others. Thanks for being part of our community at Grace, our family, and our community here in Lenore County.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us on the Daily Grace, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks again, Nicole.
no problem.